Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're going to give everyone a few minutes to log in, get ready to join us.
I'm actually pulling up the chat now because I want to see all the good stuff.
For those of you that have been here with us, oh, Rachel's here. Hi. Wonder why she's here. Just kidding. For those of you that, if this is your first time joining us, we're letting everyone on the room. If you've been here with us before, you're in for a good one tonight. This is going to be fun. Hi, there she is. Jenna's behind the scenes already. Welcome, welcome, welcome. For those of you logging in, what was that? What was that, Shaina?
Seeing a lot of familiar faces, names.
I know, and I love it too, because it's actually like later everywhere else, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm getting ready for a sunset in a few hours, so it's cloudy. Okay, so I think we're getting our numbers up there. Hi there. Good evening. Yeah, for all of you that are joining in, we are definitely looking at the chat. We always do. This is our best way that we can add you to the conversation by you guys starting a conversation over in the chat box. Let us know where you're calling in from. We know that a lot of friends join us for this conversation. So I'm going to kick this off just by thanking everyone for joining us once again for another episode of Conversation with Caregivers. And this series, we've been so lucky to have the support of USAA and really our partners, because Melissa, I remember talking to you about this idea a while ago and how this would integrate with the work that you're doing. So it's really great that we've had that time to really set aside and plan the topics and make sure that we're here. So thanks to USAA for doing that. Everyone that's joining us, hopefully you know that you're here for the session that's called the Building Strong Social Supports and Connected Communities. And our two guests that are here with us tonight, like, this is their work. And I think, as Melissa would say, your heart work. This is like everything that you do. For me, this is as well, like, when we think of the opposite side of loneliness, this is like the building of the best, the connection. So thank you to everyone again for being here. I'm going to pop back in at the end of this event because I'm going to have some things that I'll ask of you. But just so everyone knows that we are recording this event as we get going. I think you are, aren't you, Jenna? Don't you want to record? Oh yeah, we're recording. Okay, that little button's already up there. So I'm going to jump right in and introduce our guests tonight, but I have a very strong feeling that all of you that are here, it's because you know these two and you know this is going to be a fun conversation. We have Melissa and Shaina here. They are two California girls. And so they're just going to we were talking beforehand, it's time. The magnet's pulling them back to the best coast. They're on their way over. But those of you that know Melissa, so she is the director of the American Red Cross Military and Veteran Caregiver Network. She's also an author. Yay. If you're not aware of Melissa's book, please do check it out. It's called Sleeping with the War, and it was published in 2015 and has brought the family and caregiver perspective to life after combat. I have to add to this that you were like the forging person to get a book out there and with your own story in there, but you have carried this on in so many different ways that I just, absolutely love her book. Thank you, Shaina. So many other things that we can say, but there's also another great connection here. Shaina, who's with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, yay. Melissa also served as a fellow for the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, and I've had the great pleasure to work with her in a variety of different areas, like at Blue Star Families, now here at Psych Armor, and you do a tremendous amount of work over at the Military Family Advisory Network. Now, I'm going to just add this. Her education and background has made her a valuable resource and pioneer in development of technology and to support of caregivers. But I hope, Melissa, in this conversation today, you're going to talk about what that important piece is on technology, because you have taught me so much. So
absolutely. Thank you, Tina. I hope this will feel like a big virtual hug for everyone on tonight. So thank you all for being with us.
Yay. So Melissa is invested in a long-term career or is invested in the long-term care of our nation's heroes, as well as their families, children, caregivers, and survivors. And she's also the spouse and a caregiver of a combat wounded United States Marine. And you'll get more on that if you read her book. So next, I get to introduce Shaina. Fight on.
Fight on.
Again, yet another California connection, and a weird connection for Shaina and I for many, many years. But she serves as the Hidden Heroes Caregiver Community Program Coordinator for the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, which we love the Elizabeth Dole Foundation and so grateful for our work together. She acts as the foundation's point of contact for military and veteran caregivers in the HHCC online community, which is all so new and is so relevant to this conversation. So those of you who are not aware of their work over there, you're going to learn so much about that tonight, or at least know about Shaina's work. So now here's a cool thing. She's pursuing her MSW at the University of Southern California, specializing in social change and innovation, my doctorate, and military social work.
Track. There we go.
She's a passionate advocate for past and present members. I love that. Past and present members of our nation's military and their families. And as a caregiver, she has seen the synergetic influence of the peer communities and is honored to support this critical mission. Shaina hopes to provide much needed encouragement and support to caregivers and their families, and to note you are a caregiver on many realms for a service member, veteran, and you're a child. So welcome to both of you. I appreciate your trust in joining us and always extending your arms to our community. And I look forward to turning off the camera and just listen where you both go.
Thank you so much, Tina. Yes, so like Tina said, we've been talking about these conversations, and we wanted them to be real conversations between caregivers, for caregivers, by for caregivers, just an opportunity for us to really talk. And when we were talking about social isolation and what it means to build community and create social supports, I just gravitated towards Shaina because of all the amazing work she's doing over at the Elizabeth Dole Foundation's Hidden Heroes Caregiver Community. And I've known Shaina for a long time, and I would consider Shaina one of my absolute best friends, and I have never met her in person.
And that's, I think, so important, especially for this conversation, given how we met.
Yes. And so I want you to start off, Shaina, and kind of talk about your journey. You mentioned about the peer support or the peer role in your journey. And so I want you to start us off with that wonderful journey.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it was really interesting because, like so many of our caregivers, I didn't really, identify as a caregiver at first. I was kind of, stumbling my way through the journey, trying to figure out what's what. And it wasn't until I actually discovered MVCN and the peer groups and all the opportunities that you have through the network that I started to have those realizations of, whoa, I'm not just the only one experiencing this. There are more. And I always call it, this is a real thing. You know what I mean? Because so much of it I took and internalized it. I thought it was just me and there was no one else like me. These were things I just could not discuss with people around me. They didn't get it. And, I could have been in a room full of people, but I still felt alone. And I remember one of the first times that I had actually connected with you and Rachel and Melissa Johnson, all of the trifecta of amazingness over at MVCN. And it was shortly after, I believe, one of our first peer support groups. I think it was Sharing the Journey. And I really wanted to, after meeting with you guys through those groups and after what I got out of that, I really wanted to give back. I finally got to a point where I said, you know what, I really want to give back and also, promote what I experienced with others who are just starting their journey as well, right? So I think one of the formative moments in establishing our friendship and our relationship, MVCN was, it was the means in which we connected and communicated. But it was during one of these training sessions in which I wanted to become a peer mentor and give back that, we really started to see those authentic connections between you and myself. One of my favorites being, I gave you the full disclosure prior to, I think, our first, either one-on-one meeting that I do rehabilitate squirrels. Yes, it's that story. I do rehabilitate squirrels. And during that particular meeting, I said, you know what, there are squirrels in this room. It's totally normal. If you see one pop on screen, everything's okay. This is just business as usual. And you guys kind of looked at me funny, right? But as we got into it, a squirrel definitely popped on the screen. And I think that was just the formative moment of our relationship and friendship as we moved forward with that.
I will never forget when she says squirrels, she means squirrels, like
Squirrels.
the animals, the baby squirrels that get
The fluffy
abandoned.
tail thing.
You might not
Yes.
know there's no rehab facilities. You can't take them to the vet. There's no shelter for squirrels. So they require the kindness of someone to feed them around the clock and to make sure they're warm and all of the other amazing things I've learned about squirrel rehab from Shaina. But you bring up a good point. So what we at the MVCN and our team, I mean, I cannot say enough amazing things about Rachel and Melissa. And that comes from a place of when you live this mission and not just this mission, there is a synergy that really, I think, provides a time for magic. I've seen them do incredible things. But one of our mantras in all of the work that we do is just come as you are, right? If you're rehabbing squirrels, you didn't do your hair, you don't want to turn on your camera. If you're only going to be in for, you know, the chat because you have someone in a hospital bed behind you, it doesn't matter what you have going on, come as you are. And you're going to find a supportive community that you can just be a part of.
100%.
Now, when you first join these communities, because I was just like you know, kind of not sure if what I had going on was a real thing, or was this just me, or I thought it was going crazy. I thought it was a me thing.
Yeah.
And I started, once someone told me I was a caregiver, because I had to be told that. I didn't know. I was at the medical or the MTF on Camp Pendleton, and a nurse came out and said, "Oh, are you Steven's caregiver?" And I was like, "No, I'm his wife," right? Because I was like 31 years old at the time. And I thought caregivers were just for the elderly. Like my grandmother had a caregiver, so I knew what that was.
Right.
But once I heard that word, it changed my search. So that night, instead of searching all these medical things, I searched caregiver. And I learned really what that was. And in my searching, I found other little groups on Facebook, little websites I had never even been to, because that word caregiver is the type of support that they were getting. So identifying as a caregiver really opened the door. But I didn't start as someone who could lead these groups or give back. I started as a read only. Like I would just go in there and feel so validated if I read something that another caregiver wrote. I'm like, oh, it happens to other people too, right? It is. And so that sort of starts you, you know, feeling a little better, although not really, because honest, a lot of it sucks that other people are feeling this too. At least I had like, oh, okay. But then that does inspire you. Like, what can you do? If we're all going through this, or if there's so many of us going through this, what can we do to make it better for our community? And I think that was the catalyst that started me going through these different groups and becoming an Elizabeth Dole Fellow, and then ultimately where I sit today with the Military and Veteran Caregiver Network. But it was a journey, and it was a growth, and it came from a desire of wanting to connect with more people and wanting to bring in that support and start people off with the resources I wish I had, you know, 10 years ago.
Yes, 100%. I mean, I can't tell you how much that resonates right now, because that's exactly why I approached MVCN in the very beginning. It wasn't to give back yet at that point. In fact, I did not even see myself as being capable to ever give back. I was just in that state of survival mode. And I just needed support. I needed my people, my tribe, right? And when I finally connected with you guys and I started attending these support groups and I started to recognize and the wheel started turning, that was what began my journey of going from, you know, the recipient of these connections and of this, you know, network of support. But, and it's always a continuous journey. I'm still gaining so much from the power of our communities, but this is what brought me to a space where eventually I wanted to give back. I wanted to impart the learning lessons that I had throughout this, you know, journey so far. And that was when I started, going for the peer, facilitator, the peer mentor opportunities, all these ways in which I could try my best to, if not share what I had experienced, in my journey, at least like, if nothing else, commiserate, and just be a companion to those who are experiencing something similar. That was huge.
And
then,
I think that, yeah.
And that ended up taking me to EDF, and I ended up, I can't tell you, I still dream come true situation, being able to take that to the next level and make a profession of it and be able to, fill my own cup by filling the cup of others as well and continuing that process.
So accurate. And like a caregiver journey is a little bit like this. It's not linear. I mean, there are times I still absolutely need my own support. Living this life, it doesn't go away. But one of the things I think both of us try to create in our communities is the ability to grow and to come into this role. And because I'm not going to lie, it was all doom and gloom at the beginning for me. I felt like this was a death sentence and it was all terrible and I was never going to get anything I wanted. Right. And so finding other people that you can look up to, you can see them, like Melissa Johnson on my team was someone I really looked up to for all that she had been able to do. And the type of person she was, like the kindness in her heart and her just amazing grace and the way she just handles everything. It was incredibly inspiring. And so, she has for many, many years been an inspiration of mine. And then when we did our Dole Fellowship, learning about all these other caregivers who are stepping up to advocate, in a different type of way, giving back to the community, supporting policy changes and the great work at the VA, trying to have those voices lifted up, it kind of represents that growth. So you can be the caregiver at the middle of the night, checking your laptop, and then you can be someone advocating on Capitol Hill about the real issues that face military veteran caregivers.
And you're not stuck in that.
Right. And these communities show you all the opportunities that can be available to you. Now, they're not all super easy and they're not all for everyone, just like not all caregivers are for everyone.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
These communities that we build, you're not going to be best friends with everyone in that community. You could be nice and respectful and supportive, but these communities really serve as like a mixer to find your people.
I like to call it a dating service.
A little caregiver dating service, right? Because in your interactions, either in a group or in online communities, you tend to gravitate towards the people that have like your sense of humor or your knack for policy or your education goals. Yes, your education goals or professional goals. Sometimes you attach to people that have similar families, right? We have young kids. We don't have young kids. Our kids are off in college. Or, hey, we also have, we're taking care of our parents on top of this. So really these communities it's hard to explain if you're not in any of them. They really expose you to a lot of people walking this journey, but no journey is the same. Right. But they provide that mixer, that chance to bump elbows with people, either virtually or in person, as soon as this is all over, where you can find, like you said, like that tribe, those people that just get you.
Get it. Yes. No, and I mean, it's an opportunity. Like you just said, it's an opportunity because nobody can create those connections for you without it being a meaningful connection, but it's really giving you that space and that opportunity to make those connections yourself and find your people, because this is a large country and we are spread across this country. And, otherwise I don't see how very many of us would find each other. And so this, it really brings us together to find the opportunity to find our people. I would not have found you in this World Wide Web or this wide world that we have if it had not been for these, communities and these connections. Because I mean, Melissa, have we ever met in person?
Not once.
Not a single time. And I consider you to be one of my closest friends.
Yeah,
and we've never met in person.
Right. And these communities, I mean, I hope that people are getting together outside of them. They're having little texts They, call each other if there's a need, or something awful happens. I hope that these networks provide you those key people. If you don't have that, if these networks, all they do is introduce you to someone you could call at 4 a.m. because you're having something awful happen, then they're a success. I mean, they're a success when you have the peer support groups and these great meetings, but what we're really trying to do is help people feel connected, help them feel like you belong, help you have friends that really do understand. And we know that research shows how important that is for your well-being. This social isolation of the pandemic has really exacerbated a lot of relationships. Caregiving, I mean, we've always kind of had this social isolation component.
I was about to say, we did it before it was cool.
Yeah, right. So getting creative with reaching out to people. I've seen a lot of organizations try online events. I've seen some candle making, and I've seen some sports events, where trivia. Yes.
Bingo. Never win those things, but
bingo.
No.
And watch parties, like maybe you just want to watch a movie with someone. Okay, let's watch it on Zoom together or something. But all of those little things you can do to try to get creative, to just have some connection, have real conversations, right? Not scripted, not facilitated every time, just to just be. And that's what we really hope that we're doing with our communities, is bringing people in, making them feel supported, included. We try to be as open as possible. Really, come as you are. That is our mantra. Because
I love that.
We really want you to succeed in your caregiver journey, in your friendships, in your connections, your engagement, your knowledge, skills, and hope. I have to say that whole.
Of course.
But hope is a metric, right? That's our metric, hope. That's what we're trying to do, because we know sometimes coming into caregiving, it is an injury, or it is a diagnosis, or it's a long decline, and it can feel hard and heavy, and it can hurt. And we just want to be the soft landing place for you.
Yeah, I swear, once you said that, hope is a metric. I love that. That should be a t-shirt, because it's so true. Because when I hit my rock bottom, when I hit that point where I was like, I need to reach out and find somebody, something, it was that lack of hope, and it finally gave me that hope, and that was totally the metric that I experienced. That's awesome. And my favorite part about your come as you are mentality, that really, once again, I'm going to use the word resonates, and of course, my social workers in the house are probably just loving that term because it's kind of our thing. But that was a huge thing for me, because I always feel like within the caregiving community, we have this constant sense of guilt that we are not doing it right, that we're not doing enough, that, our responsibilities that we have keep us from doing what we need to do in the right fashion. You know what I'm saying? And so the ability to go and attend a group, attend a peer support opportunity, but we can be late. We may not be at our best. We may be at our lowest, but we can unapologetically be in that space and know that we're going to be accepted, and that's okay. And that you guys continue to say that every time all of us meet. That's huge, because we don't get that very many places. It's amazing. Sorry.
You're so right, Shaina. So I see Jenna is asking us to give an overview of each of our programs. So I would like you to go first. Go ahead and talk about Hidden Heroes, how you can get connected, and the programs and services that you facilitate in that amazing community.
Oh goodness. So I know I've been speaking praises for MVCN, because really that was my first, connection to it. And actually it was through MVCN that I found the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, EDF. And Elizabeth Dole Foundation is behind the Hidden Heroes caregiver community. As you know, Hidden Heroes, that term, it was it's just a perfect representation of our role as caregivers. Because we're behind the scenes. Not very many people pay attention to or realize our role in our, in our veteran or our service members' journey, in our family's journey, and just also the great service that we provide to this country as well. So what I really enjoy about the Elizabeth Dole Foundation and Hidden Heroes is not only this opportunity to connect with each other in my program, which is the Hidden Heroes Caregiver community, and I'll give you a few pointers on how to access our community and get started with our programming and services. But we also offer several other programs in which caregivers can get the support that they need. We recently launched respite relief program in which we're able to provide hours of caregiving services through CareLinks to our caregivers across the country. And so this could be respite to just have some you time, have somebody else do the dishes, maybe grab the groceries. I mean, you can get creative with it, but it's some good stuff. And I just know that for so many of us, we really don't have that, time to breathe and think about our self-care. And then we have, amongst other programs, we also have the Fellows program, which you are a fellow yourself. And it's really neat how folks can make that transition from recipient of programs and services and supports, but also once again, moving forward into that advocate role and that empowerment, and to start taking control of the policy of the future for other caregivers, which just, beyond measure, that's incredible. But if anyone has interest in joining our community, our community is on Facebook, but in order to register to become part of the Hidden Heroes Caregiver community, you'll just go to hiddenheroes.org/registration. And I'm probably going to just assume that my friend Rachel over there might put that link into the chat. I know Melissa's usually our resident link, expert. Sorry, Rachel, totally Jenna, she beat you to it. But that's how you go ahead and you register as a Hidden Hero. What you'll be asked to do is submit your information, then upload some documentation verifying that you are a caregiver. But we're very flexible on what that documentation looks like, because we are a very inclusive community. This is not just for pre or post, it is for all caregivers, regardless of your affiliation with your care recipient. So with all that said, that's how you become involved in our community. And moving on over to you, Melissa, tell us more about MVCN.
Thank you, Shaina. And if you haven't checked out the hiddenheroes.org website, it's actually a really good introduction to what Hidden Heroes does. You can read other caregiver stories. Maybe you're not quite ready to join a community, but I really encourage you to read the caregiver stories. They also have some really good resources nationally, regionally sourced there that you can also find. And again, I love that piece about being all inclusive. So much the same, the Military and Veteran Caregiver Network, we serve caregivers of all eras, all relationships across all locations. And you can access us at redcross.org/caregivers. And much like the Hidden Heroes registration, if you're coming to us straight from the website, you'll put in your name, your email, and your zip code. Then we're going to send you an email asking for a verification document. There is no one form that proves you're a caregiver. We really get that. There's not one form, and it's not you have to have that form or you're not a caregiver. We have many caregivers who are years past their loved one's military career and don't even know what a DD-214 is. That's okay. We really pride ourselves on being the friendly technology and the friendly military community you can reach out to if you don't even know what that is. So because our team is all caregivers, we have ways to help people locate those. And sometimes it's really helpful to have someone walk you through how to get those records if you don't have them. 100%. Anyway, it's super easy to register. And then with that, you get access to our secure custom online caregiver community. And when you come into our online community, you will see there are about 50 different groups in there. We have topics like education and training. We have benefits and compensation. We have respite and recreation, great program, the respite program with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation and CareLinks. I strongly encourage people to register for that. But then you'll see other, we have wonderful partnerships like we do with Psych Armor, where you'll find these courses put up in there as well, and opportunities with them. We have a Wounded Warrior Project group that's specifically for some caregivers in their programs. Then we have others like Blue Star Families, Yellow Ribbon Fund, where you can learn about the other great resources out there and interact with staff or volunteers from that organization, you know, kind of grow who you know, but also grow the resources that you know.
Yeah, for your toolbox.
Yes. We also have volunteer opportunities. So if you are looking to, you know, give back to the caregiver community as a, you know, you want to work in an online community, we have training for that. If you want to be a peer mentor, we have training for that. If you want to facilitate peer support groups, which I will tell you is our fan favorite, we can't keep up with the demand on all of our peer support groups. They are all currently virtual, but as soon as we get the go ahead, we can't wait to have them back in the community. We host them at Red Cross offices, on military installations, libraries, Starbucks, really whatever brings your community together, or, you know, a safe place for you all to connect. What else can I say? Oh, you'll have a profile and you can have your picture on there or not. Or, you know, maybe you are really timid about joining these communities and you don't really want everyone to know your name. Well, that's okay. You don't have to participate with your real name. We do know who everyone is. So if you'd like to operate under, you know, an email or a pseudonym, we're okay with that. We've seen a lot of caregivers on the active duty side, right? You're still concerned with career. You don't know what's happening with all of this, and you don't really want to attach to caregiver. That's okay. We see those caregivers come, maybe they go through medical retirement, they're on the VA side, and we watch them use their real name. And then maybe a year or two later, they're not just using their real name, they're volunteering to support other caregivers going through that journey. So there's a lot of opportunities, potential. You can really engage in a way that's comfortable for you. You know, some people don't like to have their camera on. That's okay. You don't have to, you can come to a peer support group and not turn your camera on. You can talk in the chat. You can, we have chats too, just plain old text message peer support.
Or you can just listen. You can just gain from hearing others who might be experiencing something that you're experiencing. I mean, that's the beauty of it, is you give and you receive.
Yes, and that leads into, so we do use evidence-based peer support practices at the Military and Veteran Caregiver Network, and one of them is called the Reciprocal Peer Support Model. And the best way that I can explain this model of peer support is we all have helped someone, right? We've all made a difference for someone, whether that's like, you know, helping a mom at the grocery store if something's falling out of her cart, or, you know, making a profound difference in someone's life, giving them a resource that, you know, keeps them off the streets. No matter how big or how small, the impact of that action affects both people equally. It feels so good to the person who gets helped, and it feels so good to be able to have helped someone. We need to help each other more because it is so good for everyone. I encourage people, you know, I always thought I had nothing to offer anyone, right? I was in a very dark place in the beginning of my caregiving journey, which is, my book is all about that negative place. But slowly, when someone was like, thank you for telling me about that, that is exactly what I needed. I started to feel like, oh, maybe I could help more in that way. And, you know, the power of peer referral is also so amazing, because I've had clinicians hand me resource directories or been told to go to a resource directory online, and it is awesome, those resource directories, check them out. But it all kind of felt like drinking from the fire hose, and I was not in a good place, and I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know what I didn't know. But I had other caregivers tell me, like, you should check out Semper Fi Fund. They are great there in Camp Pendleton. And sure enough, I checked them out, and they have been wonderful. And then I've seen that in my own life as I've, you know, recommended resources to caregivers, because I know so many and I've used so many myself, that they will gravitate towards ones that another caregiver has recommended, because you know that caregiver has lived a similar journey. And so their referral is like gold almost.
It is really, it's a connector. It's once again that connection, because it's not only that connection to one another, but that's like what the network is. It's a network, and it's a connection to the other resources in our lives. And it helps a lot to know that it's not just one more resource on a list, but that they actually helped you and that they provided benefit to you and that they can be a trusted resource. And that's huge, especially when you're at that point where you're just drowning. That's big.
It is.
I know I hit that point too. I mean, it was not always a pretty journey, but when it got to that point where I could say, hey, I've learned a lot here and now I want to give back, that's what fills my cup at this point, is being able to share my experiences, but also to make those connections for others. But at the same time, and you know, just going back to HHCC, the Hidden Heroes Caregiver Community, it's incredible because I'll try to share sometimes these insights, these, you know, experiences that I had. And when I later learned, you know, through my professional life that it's a thing and it's really a thing and research has shown it's a thing. And I'll have those moments where I'll share this, you know, fun stuff with others. And I'm going, oh man, yes, I was able to share this, you know, great stuff with somebody else. But then I will also see folks posting about their experiences and I'll still have those, you know, those wow moments of me too. And so I'm still gaining from it. So it really doesn't stop. It's a cycle. It's a cyclical thing. It's just, it keeps going around and around. And that, for me, that benefit just hasn't stopped yet.
So I have a group of friends that I just affectionately call my silver lining friends. And when I think about some of the hardest things our families had to face, it really put me on the path for some of the greatest friendships I never would have had. And so
100%.
for me, you know, even though I wish none of the stuff that happened to my husband happened.
Yeah.
Still so grateful for all my friends.
Okay, now you're going to make me go, because I would have never met any of you if it had not been for the circumstances in our lives. But I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to meet you wonderful, wonderful people, because I don't think my life would be as impacted or the same, or I don't think I would be the person that I am now if it hadn't been for connections like you.
And getting to see all these other amazing hidden heroes, right? Let's keep amplifying how amazing they are. There are so many caregivers I see in the chat or I've seen join where your light inspires me daily. And I'm just so glad to be in this community and connected to you all. I know we all have tough days and we all celebrate each other's wins, you know, and alive days and, you know, anniversaries and tough things that we have going on. But being part of a community that's connected and gets it really is that metric of hope.
Metric of hope. I love that so much. I haven't been keeping up with the chat as much as I want to, but I see so much going on over there and I just want to scroll through. I know there's good stuff in there. I'm gonna have to get to that later. Sorry, y'all, if there's any good questions in there, but oh my gosh, I can't tell you how real this conversation is to me. And it's,
yeah, I honestly wasn't prepared to get that emotional, but when I think of other caregivers and you, Shaina, and I see Ashley Williams and my team, so grateful. Gosh. So grateful.
I talk about you to my daughter. My daughter knows you by name. I mean, and I just, and sorry, Tina, you too. I always I say, oh my gosh, it's Dr. T, you know, and she already knows just all these incredible connections that I have within the caregiving community by name. And she's never met you guys, but she knows that there is a village out there and that they are good people, that they are smart people, that they are powerful people. And it really just also lets her know that even when, so I mean, it's huge that it's not only impactful to me, but to my child as well, because she feels that community as well. And you especially, Melissa, oh my gosh. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna get teary-eyed, but you make her feel special and you make her feel like she has a village too. And I feel like that's something we very much lack in today's society. And it's because of people like you, like EDF, like all of the amazing organizations out there that do this and provide this resource that we're able to have this community. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And again, I am super emotional, but it's so close to my heart. And I see someone in the chat has asked if we have support for older caregivers or Vietnam veterans. And yes, we do. We actually have a partner group with Vietnam Veterans of America. And we don't necessarily draw lines by era of service or things like that. But you can, if you are looking for a peer mentor, when you come into our community, we'll ask you about the era of service, and we try to match you with someone closest to your lived experience. So maybe you were a Vietnam veteran, because we also serve veterans who are caregivers. That just happened this last Veterans Day, but all too often we were having veterans come to us saying, hey, I'm caring for my parents, I'm caring for my own spouse, I have special needs children, I need caregiving support. And it's not, I wanted to, you know, in my ultimate goal to be inclusive of everyone. But it, you know, there's scopes and things and trying to understand what that looks like. But we do now have groups specifically for veterans who are also caregivers. So, you know, I had a veteran be like, it says veteran caregiver right in your name.
No, not that kind.
No, and, you know, and so I'm trying to, you know, and I know all great veteran resources, and I was trying, you know, but ultimately people need caregiving support. And caregiving is not unique to our military or veteran space. 1 in 5 Americans is experiencing caregiving, and the light being shone on this because of the pandemic and other reasons. It's really important to look at being inclusive and supporting of caregivers of all walks of life. Really want
to. Made me think about that. And I'm going to butcher the living daylights out of this. So anybody listening, watching, I am so incredibly sorry. And I believe, was it Rosalind Carter that said, you are either, if you have not been a caregiver, you will be, or something along those lines. But it's either you have been a care recipient, you may not be a caregiver, but then at some point you will be a caregiver again. It was far more eloquent than that. However,
you are a caregiver, you've been a caregiver, you need a caregiver.
Okay.
I know the 4. Yes.
Yeah, but it was all about caregivers, and it's just it was powerful enough for me to remember, you know, the big picture here, caregiver, right? But
it's part of the human experience. That's what I try to tell people. No more can you just assume that these are the people that are caregivers, or these are the people that need caregivers.
All of us.
It is a greater collective.
Jennifer has,
thank you.
Course.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Jennifer.
Those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need a caregiver. Yes.
See, that's what we said. We said that. That's
I know the 4. Current, past, will be, like future, and then you will need a caregiver.
We are all caregivers, and this is an issue that affects us all. And so everybody should get with the program and know that we're all great people. That's basically what it boils down to.
And if you haven't checked out the Rosalind Carter Institute for Caregivers, it is phenomenal. They have been doing this like 35 plus years. And Mrs. Carter has the biggest heart and is just a wonderful human being and has caregived for everyone. And they have a fabulous program. You just showed that coin. That's from Operation Family Caregiver. That is their
for those of you
coaching program.
It's the good stuff.
Yeah. I'm glad you went through that. That's a good one too.
It was so powerful. Once again, another connection.
Operation Family Caregiver, very meaningful opportunity for caregivers. And they're starting, Yellow Ribbon Fund.
Right.
So Operation Family Caregiver has they kind of call it their aftercare or peer support group. So if you've gone through that and you want to keep talking about the coaching model, they have that inside the MVCN. The Yellow Ribbon Fund has a national chapter now online. You can find them on Facebook, which is great because they've been doing kind of regional support, really great. And now it's opened on this national level with their Facebook group.
Thank
you for typing those. resources in there.
Yeah, Jenna is on it. Jenna's on it. I apologize for my dogs. They will let me know if somebody's on the other side of the street, because goodness forbid anybody who's been on the other side of my street. That's definitely not our territory, but they'll make sure that we know it. So if you hear any barking in the background, that would be that. But have we, and that is all, okay, so I know Hearts of Valor, that one changed names, correct?
It's Operation Homefront's program for caregivers.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't believe it's called Hearts of Valor anymore, but if you go to Operation Homefront, you'll be able to be directed to their caregiver support.
And I want to make sure we're not missing anyone, because there's so many great resources out there. And as much as I really want to, do that shameless push of, our programs, there's so many different organizations out there so that you can find the right fit for you.
And one other note I want to say before you start rattling off amazing resources is sometimes the support that you're looking for or the community that you're looking for might not need to be in the caregiver space or the military space. So maybe you're into writing or squirrel rehab or art or knitting, whatever you're naturally inclined to be connected to, or it's a hobby, there are groups out there for you as well. And maybe that's a space where you put down some of this caregiver weight and you just go talk about squirrels for an hour.
Yeah, more than an hour.
Yeah,
minimum.
I don't know what's happening in these squirrel groups, but
important life-changing stuff.
Opportunities to laugh, maybe even trying something new, reaching out to a group that you might not know anything about but want to support or learn more about. But just being open to the opportunity of connection and engagement, whether that's in the community that you live in or through online options. Technology is doing amazing things to help people feel more connected. But it doesn't necessarily need to be in the military space or the caregiver space. There are people out there for you. And sometimes just the willingness and the time it takes to surf the web or, go to farmers markets.
Meetup.com. Is it meetup.com? They have all those different,
Clubhouse is doing things. There's a bunch of things that might be of interest as well. So we do know a lot. Shaina and I are pretty expert in the military veteran caregiver resource space, but I just wanted to plant that seed that maybe it's even outside of that where you'll find.
That's huge. I'm so glad you said that. I know Tina gave you kudos as well for that one, because honestly, that wasn't even on my, it was on my radar, but that's so incredibly true. It really doesn't have to be just your caregiving journey. I mean, we can understand the caregiving component, but whatever refills your cup and you can have those shared experiences. And I know we always use the self-care, but self-care doesn't look the same for everybody. And sometimes self-care can be connecting with others in another format, in another way. I know someone mentioned gardening. I mean, I can't say either which way. Any plant I get my hands on, I kill. But, and this, of course, there's yoga. Yoga, that's a big one. I started yoga this month. I tried it one time and it was amazing. I'm going to go back for number 2. Another shameless plug. If you have not.
Shameless plug. Sorry. Yes,
my plug. This is my shameless plug. If you have not tried yoga yet and you want to have a smooth beginner's transition into the land of yoga, I highly recommend you check out our Yoga for Caregivers Maintaining Balance online yoga for caregivers with Jen. And yes, she is amazing. I know, spirit fingers. And she's actually leading this amazing yoga opportunity for our caregivers. So you can hop on to hiddenheroes.org/C3 and you can register for one of those as well. Put your toe in the water on that one. It was fun.
Was that water yoga that you just said, Shaina?
No, I just threw the water into the yoga component because there was a toe involved. However,
I keep talking so much recently around the abundance mindset over scarcity mindset, right? And the two of you are like such a great example of that, because you cheer for each other before you cheer for yourself. And I think especially when it comes to making sure that you are serving a greater community that's so necessary. And I just love it. And Shaina, you're cracking me up. Like she's just like, yeah, this is cool. Say something in the chat because we saw the representation from VA, and I think the three of us can also say that is our foundation, right? Like we want to make sure that caregivers that are within the VA care system, that's where they start, and then all of our work is blended into the VA Caregiver Support Network. I know that we all are all like, we start there and then we build out in order to support. And all of our programs at one point or another intersects with VA to make sure that we are also supporting those that care for caregivers. So the social workers, and I know that that's primarily who we all work with, but so thank you for that chat. I think we all just know that that's like ingrained in us, right? Like that's like the mothership over here. From that. So you two are awesome. Melissa, as always, thank you for showing us your whole self. I think that we can gloss over the emotions that come along with just feeling that abundant love. And I think that that's where I saw that part from you. And there was just something I wanted to add in my time in knowing you, Melissa, and we've talked about the different ways in which you can serve. You know, we all make this step professionally, like, am I a therapist? Am I a clinician? Am I a nonprofit leader? Am I this or am I that? And Melissa did something for me that from a place of technology, and technology is such a core to what we all do. I mean, you guys wouldn't be able to deliver your work if you didn't have it. Melissa is like this Uber guru on Salesforce. And so just to give you kudos to say that you took technology and you created it so that it would be connected, so that it would not be this large, grandiose thing that you would just get lost and hope that somebody would make a connection. And when you first introduced that to me and that you actually researched it, that you made sure that you evaluated it, it shifted me. It shifted my ability to even be open to technology. Instead of seeing it as, and so now, like, you know, we look at AI and technology for good, and you pioneered that conversation. Is there anything that you want to add to what you've learned just from that? Because you have done really deep dives on that and have learned some really awesome stuff.
So I know you love vulnerability work, and I'm like a super vulnerable person, but learning people's vulnerability with technology, and I'm not talking about the act of technology, I'm talking about the psychology of it. And we are missing a lot of people because they are intimidated or afraid or have had negative experiences and don't like it. So a lot of the work that we've shifted, especially in the pandemic, when more and more people were trying to connect any other way, is to be the friendly technology. That's what my coined term. And we at Military and Veteran Caregiver Network pride ourselves on being friendly technology. So we will never make you feel bad for needing your password reset 4,000 times. Or, hey, can you teach me how to use Zoom? Or I never got the link. Or I don't know how to turn on my computer. How do I get from here to there? We will always meet that with kindness, with a sincere desire to overcome any of those technology barriers so you can just get to the heart of it. I hope tonight's conversation, you kind of forgot maybe for a minute that you were even on technology, that it just felt like a conversation between friends. And there is a little bit of skill and comfort and persistence sometimes. So my real takeaway from the pandemic and trying to help people overcome technology barriers is to just be friendly and kind, and maybe not always talk about it as this like superstar abstract thing, but just really get to the point where people even forget they're using it.
Yeah, that is amazing. And it's just in so many ways, I think when you set that intention and the way that we're going to use it instead of it using us is incredible. So I just appreciate you. I want you to know that I have not ever forgot that one conversation. I can tell you where we were. And it was that aha moment where I was like, oh, wait. So anyways, all right. Thank you both. This was incredible. I'm, selfishly was just happy to have time with you, to hear the two of you, hear your voices, see both of you share in your friendship. I also want to give a shout out to Jonathan. He's just awesome, man. He's in that chat. He's loving up on your work. And we also know that He does a tremendous amount of work in the community. He's always here for us. So thank you, Jonathan, for also being such a great cheerleader, supporter, for being who you are. And the rest of you that have been here this evening, thank you for joining us. We are going to send a question, an evaluation afterwards. It's very, very purposeful why we do that. It's how we find out whether or not we touched on where we needed to and where we need to go. It's how we got here in the first place, because we asked questions. So if you wouldn't mind, please do the survey in your follow-up email. Greatly appreciate it. And I can't remember when we're coming back for another one. I know we have some other awesome conversations. And I know that Melissa and Shaina will be here with us, because they always are. So thank you everyone for joining us. And Jen is always here at Service 2 to follow up on resources. So thanks, ladies. Appreciate
Thank you for having us.